Happy days are here again. Maybe it's because I'm taking a look at a Subaru WRX, a car that I should have never sold in the first place. Or maybe it's because over the last 2 months, sales have been skyrocketing for this sports sedan with a 6-speed manual. And some of it can be attributed to the return of the base trim. Now, we have not seen the base in about 2 years. It was cut from the lineup after 2024. And this time around, we have a few more features that makes this particular trim, in my opinion, the go-to. And as we're going to discover throughout this entire video, this sedan right here is the best bang for your buck and also possibly the best car with a manual money can buy under $35,000. Now, before we dive into this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to McGovern Subaru of Acton in Acton, Massachusetts for letting me come down here to check out their Subaru WRX. Their link will be in the description below so you can check out their extensive Subaru inventory. So as always, let's begin with that pricing. For the 2026 Subaru WRX Base we're taking a look at today, we have a starting cost of just below $33,000. Currently, right now, Subaru dealerships are discounting these models by about $2,000. So instead of paying like $33,500, you're looking at $31,500, which in my opinion is a steal. And it's not just for the base. You could get this for the premium, maybe even the limited and TS. So keep all of this in mind if you want a car that's going to be fun and enjoyable to drive on a daily basis. Now, as you take a look at the exterior of the base, there are some minor changes. Not up front, but along the side profile. We'll talk about that in a minute. So up front, you are going to receive LED headlights. They're not steering responsive like you're going to find on the Limited. You're not going to have the LED turn signals like we see on the Limited trim and above. Not a major sacrifice. One of the changes that was made starting last year is that you now have this gloss black grille instead of the gray. A lot of people complained about that because it did look like a Crosstrek, and a new addition is the WRX badge in red. Now with the base, obviously you're not going to have LED fog lights. However, you can get them from Subaru, and I'm speaking from experience here, it is pre-wired, so you can get fog lights for your base trim, making this car look a bit more upscale. Also, we got to talk about this hood scoop here. Provides a lot of character to the WRX and it's quintessential for this model. Now, making our way over to the side profile, this is where you're going to notice a huge change from the base model from 2022 to 2024. And I'm not going to say this is going to make this car look a bit more upscale, because that isn't the right term for a WRX, but it makes this car look a bit more put together. So as you can tell, we have the 18-inch alloy wheels that were available on the premium. Before, you only had 17s, and the 17s made this car look really cheap. Also, I really didn't like the stance of the car either with the 17s. Unfortunately though, the WRX is still using Dunlop tires that are summer tires. So if you live up here in the Northeast, you're gonna have to go with those winters or maybe all seasons. I chose Michelin's when I had my WRX. Now also, with this being a base, you're not gonna have turn signal indicators with your side mirror caps. Also, no blind spot detection. I kind of like to see that. I like having more of an analog design to this car. Then as you make your way around to the back, nothing has changed here from the base trim from before, aside from one aesthetic feature. We'll talk about that in a minute. Same taillight design with kind of like this diamond cut here in the taillight. Love to see it. No LED turn signal indicators, but that can be changed with aftermarket support. Then you have your red WRX badge that was added in for 2025. And then for the lower portion of the rear bumper, we have the aggressive plastic fenders, but we also have the exhaust outlets here. So plastic bumper, which some people don't really like, but that can also be fixed too. And then one more thing I want to point out is that unlike with the premium trim and above, no subtle deck lid spoiler, but with aftermarket support, you can fix that, and there's a number of spoilers out there on the market, even from Subaru, that gives this car just a bit more character. But guys, let me know what you think here about the base model. Is the 18-inch alloy wheels enough to make this car look really, really nice at around $33,000? Or are you still going to go with the premium? Let me know. Powering all Subaru WRX models, including the base, is going to be a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, producing 271 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, and best of all, it is paired with a 6-speed manual. Also on top of all of this, you get all-wheel drive, and there's not many cars in this particular market under $40,000, heck below $35,000, that give you this setup. And with the all-wheel drive system, better year-end capability, But as I've discovered, having owned this car in the past, it's great handling characteristics. This is one of the better handling cars in this market right now. And I know I'm probably selling you guys on this car, but it is one of the best bangs for your buck. Now, obviously, when it comes to straight line speed here out of the Subaru WRX, it is not a quick car. Gotta be honest with you guys on that one. But what's really great about this car is that with the 6-speed manual, you feel really connected. It's one of the only manual cars in this market that doesn't feel vague or numb. So I think for those of you who are going to be hopping into this car right from the get-go, you're really going to enjoy it. Now, the only downside here is that you take a look at the fuel economy. You're looking at right around 19 miles per gallon in the city and 26 miles per gallon on the highway. For me personally, I had experienced close to 24 miles per gallon on average. So it's not the worst in this market, but personally, I would take miles per gallon way over miles per gallon. Before we hop inside the base and see what it's offering us for 2026, you now receive keyless entry. So in the past, you only had a physical key and then you had to turn it the old-fashioned way. Now you get keyless entry and a push-button start, as we're going to find out when we check out the interior, but this is a really, really nice addition. Being inside the 2026 Subaru WRX Base, this is the same trim you all remember from 2024. The only difference is the fact we have the push-button start, which I just mentioned. With these seats, they're going to be mainly adjustable with cloth upholstery for both the driver and passenger. The only downside here by going with the base over the premium is that these seats aren't heated. If you can live without heated seats, this is going to be a great value option in this market. Now, the reason why I chose a premium a couple of years ago is because I thought the seats were more comfortable. However, in this base, I kind of like the seats. They're not that bad. The bolstering is pretty aggressive. They're very well cushioned. And they don't really feel that much different than the premium. So again, if you don't need all the creature comforts and amenities, this is going to be a comfortable daily driver as well. Now, in front of you is going to be this very beefy leather-wrapped steering wheel. It feels really nice in the hands. Aggressive 10 and 2 and firm 9 and 3 grips, and then the same buttons that we have seen in all trims over the past, 5 years now? So you'll be able to adjust the volume and radio on the left side, and on the right will be for your cruise control settings. Then you have your toggles at the bottom of the steering wheel for your information display in the center. Personally, I would leave it on the boost gauge and just cruise that way. You have your digital speedometer, obviously your tachometer here, traditional gauges too, which I really do like, obviously with the TS full digital gauge cluster. You can also see the outside temperature, date and time, etc., and your radio and tire pressure monitoring system. So really nice there. Also, you have your trip reset button on the dashboard. On the left side of the dashboard and the left side of the steering wheel, here you have your buttons for your traction control on and off and to pop open the trunk. Then taking a look at the infotainment system. This wasn't always the case in the base. We had the 11.6-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. If you want wireless connectivity, you have to go with the premium trim and above. I don't really think that's a huge feature to have and to pay extra for. So if you just have those same old wires that you've been using for the last 10 years, you can just do that here with the base trim. Now, some people don't like the 11.6-inch touchscreen, but it has grown on me and it's easy to get acclimated with. So on both sides of the screen will be physical knobs for your volume and tuning, then your front and rear defrosters and dual zone climate control. Now, if you remember, back in 2023 and 2024, with the base trim, not only did you have the physical key to turn on this WRX, but you also had dual 6-inch touchscreens. I think this is a cleaner layout. Even though some people will disagree with me on this, this is a cleaner look for the base model. At the bottom of the screen will be your dual zone climate control, again for your AC. You can turn that on and off, and your fan speed. Also, you're going to notice your widgets well within arm's reach for radio, media, phone, apps, settings, My Subaru. Also, valet mode. That wasn't always offered on the WRX, so really good stuff to see there. And then, of course, probably more importantly for those of you who are enthusiasts, you will have a vehicle settings tab for vehicle control, for cruise control, acceleration, speed, your driving assistance features. Yes, unfortunately, for 2026, we do have the EyeSight driver assist technologies. That wasn't always available for the base and the premium, but it is now. So from here, you can turn on or off your pre-collision braking, your forward collision warning, lane departure warning, and driver monitoring system. Then last, you have more settings for units of measurement and warning volume. with the base, you are going to receive a rear backup camera with trajectory. This is the same resolution that we have seen in all the model years for the WRX, so you're not missing on anything here by going with the base trim, so I really do like that. Continuing on beneath the head unit, you are going to find a USB-C and USB-A outlet to go along with a 12-volt and auxiliary outlet. Then a cubby for a smartphone, wallet, or other loose items. Then you have your 6-speed manual. I don't believe this has a short throw shifter. That would be installed immediately if I was picking up this WRX today. You're going to have 2 cup holders. Then you have your manual handbrake. Not a lot of cars offer that anymore. Then for the standard storage compartment, enough room for some smaller items, wallet, keys, maybe even a smartphone or 2 or other tech gadgets. And then lastly, I might as well bring this up. With our model today, we do not have an auto-dimming rear view mirror. To me, that is a must-have in this car. Then for passengers in the second row, with this being a carryover model for the VB generation, you're looking at right on 36.5 inches of legroom, which isn't going to be class leading, but is far from being the worst in this market. There's more space in this car than the Volkswagen GTI, and I also think this is a bit bigger than the Elantra N. So if you have a family or you have people in the second row sometimes throughout the week, this actually is one of the more practical options in this market. And with this being a base with a cloth upholstery, you're not going to have as much grip as you'd find in the premium. So not a lot of bolstering. You might be swinging around if you are a passenger in this car, which is why I would lean towards the premium in this situation. But as I discovered up front, the seats are more than comfortable, more than adequate for a car at this price point. Now, the only downside here with this being the base, you are missing out on some things, because in the premium you will have a USB-C and USB-A outlet. You don't receive that with the base trim, and you also don't have heated outboard seats. You have blank buttons there. And then to round out the second row seating area, you don't receive a center armrest with 2 cup holders. And that's the deal breaker for me. You guys know it. I like having that feature, so that's why I would go with the premium. But if you're just focusing on having an affordable daily driver with a 6-speed manual, this will be the way to go. Then returning to the rear fascia to take a look at the cargo area for the 2026 Subaru WRX. As expected, you are not going to receive a power trunk. But inside, behind the second row seats, you're looking at right on 12.5 cubic feet of room, which at least on paper seems rather deceptive. But there is enough room for all my camera gear and then some. So 2 bags of camera gear, a gimbal, and a tripod. I could have groceries back here, or some travel cases if I'm going on a road trip with a friend or family members. So even though this is a sports car, it's a sedan, not a hatchback, it's still rather practical. It is worth mentioning here that beneath the floor mat, you are not going to find a spare tire, so much like we see with every other trim and every other model year for the VB generation WRX. So guys, let me know what you think here about the 2026 Subaru WRX Base. Is this the best bang for your buck in the sports car market? And also, have the changes that Subaru made to this car improve the base, making it a better buy over the premium, or are you still gonna go with the premium limited or TS? Let me know in the comment section below. But guys, once again, thanks so much for watching, take care, and I will see you guys next time.